So after more than a week-long run-up for shares of AMC Entertainment, we're seeing possibly the first pullback in at least a week or so, guys. Still impressive volume, still impressive volatility on the stock again today. Let's show you the latest headline here before we get into things. Yeah, another share offering, this time 11.6 million shares. We saw that back on Tuesday, I believe it was, get bought right up and then sold for a profit later in the day. Maybe not the case for today. Why are we seeing more of a negative reaction today? And let's figure out what the plan should be going forward here for AMC over the next couple of days.
Yeah, definitely all good questions. Look, you can talk about Mudrick and them selling for a gain. Of course, it could have been a bigger one because AMC did get to that 70 mark in yesterday's action. And we come in today, you get another share offering. Look, to me, most of the reason why you'll have a more of a negative effect is there's always going to be profit taking, and not everyone is be retail traders that are holding forever. There are going to be some, algos, institutions that are going to be making profits and taking profits because you don't make anything until you've sold if you're on that long side. And if you look back at what the dips were doing earlier in this move, and I say earlier, notional dollar-wise, because when you had this 35 peak on the 28th, just only a few sessions ago, and then you look to see where it pulled back when trying to sell off here in yesterday's trade. It went and dipped right into this 35 to 38 range and then zoomed to the upside. Now this is an outsized move. It doubled up, much bigger than what you had on that previous session that I showed you. But if it does follow that pattern of where does the dip come back into, yeah, okay, it retests today some of these recent lows. So I think it's more about the patterns. You sort of think about the fact that when you get 100% moves, there will always be profit taking that can compound on it. That can compound. You get some stops that will also trigger for people that are buying up at that top and are day traders, because a lot of day traders, they like to short in front of the top. They also like to pick longs in front of the bottom, and it stops trigger. And as people take profit, you get that fallback to support, which just happened to be farther away, Sean.
Yeah, I just think, today's been absolutely insane. I mean, you have over 270 million shares traded up and down and around, and I actually pulled out a little bit of a longer time frame here. We don't need to see everything backside, but this is a 20-minute chart. So yesterday, obviously on June 2nd there, a big run up, and this is the difference between the two different days. Here, again, 20-minute candles, right? So 20-minute chart. Basically nothing red all the way until you get a little bit of a stop about midway through the day at about lunchtime. Maybe the traders took a break, and then it just continues to go up. But once you've been up here, 64, 65, 68, and then around here, then you start to see the chop. We often talk about, finding consolidation points, things like that. This is why we brought up a 20-minute chart, just to show you, even today, it's been pretty choppy back in here, right? So let's go back over to a 3-minute chart. I mean, the title is buy, sell, or hold, basically, AMC. Yesterday, this run, lots of momentum. Today, we're kind of seeing traders trying to figure it out. Is the momentum going to be to the upside? It gets to that $55 mark and crashes right back down to 38. The range is huge here on AMC. I think this 38 may have been your buy side. I mean, it's very, very easy to say that now when you're at 45, but let's just go back to sort of where the move started, right? We knew it started a few days ago, don't get me wrong, but the big move that happened right here, 38 to 40, that's where there's some more consolidation. So I believe if you're going long around the 38 mark, then you're not going to have too much trouble at all. So that's a good spot for me to go long. You could see it held there today. And then any shorts, big time problems up here, 55, 58. So I know that's crazy, but this $20 range, I think will probably hold for today. And then honestly, with this big move, I'd be a seller. I don't think we see 70 again, guys.
And if we're talking volume and volatility increasing over the past couple of days, and then possibly, we see the backside of this on a volatility and volume standpoint, let's make a plan here. What do we see over the next couple of days here? Do we get another test of these highs? Or do we just kind of wait and see and trade what's in front of us and not be too eager to, put on too much risk going into the latter part of the week here?
What you said is trade what's in front of you. You got to make a plan of action here. We day trade on our show, obviously, so there's a vast difference between, I can show you on my chart here, all of these dip buys here for longs, which I'm taking out as we get into resistance points. There's a big difference between that. And then as we say, you can look at the daily chart here, we can go back to the longer term 15-minute and then have a different perspective, because if you're thinking about, buying and holding, then the close is going to be key, because if we close above this 35 to 38 area, that cluster of support, you suddenly do have an opportunity to retest. Now, do I think this week we're likely to retest 75? I think it's far more likely that you're going to get any kind of a bounce. Is going to run into some trouble at 62.50, which is about, we're trading at 45 now, so about 25% to the upside here. I think there's some trouble in that area, and it might slow down a little bit, but that's vastly different from buying dips on a day trade and taking $1 or $2, where you can sort of go long in front of 40 when it dips down there, go long in front of 35 and take these scalp trades out. So looking at the higher time frame, the stock looks like it needs to hold that 35 to 38 range. If that happens, I think you can get a swing probably to that 62.50 area where there was all kinds of selling. I mean, the algos had a field day through that price. So as it kept failing breaking that 62 over and over again, a lot of sellers at that price.
Yeah, and I just want to say, Brendan, you asked about, how do we trade this going forward? Good ideas there. But I think if you just look at my chart, and I don't expect anybody to understand what this looks like other than like a gumball machine or something here going back and forth. But this is how I would trade it. Just scalp these different areas that come through, right? We haven't traded this in a bit. That was that 38 bottom. We love that. But I would say just keep on scalping like this. We had some big, these are big shorts into the halt. We were able to take that. That was an $8, $9 winner. And then we had some more winners back on the upside. But I think if you're waiting for the ultimate move, then you could get caught. So I just want to say, wait for key levels to break. Like you might have one right now, at this 48 level. Wait for key levels. Like you have a bottom, you have some tops there. Now we're going to break it. Wait for that. We've already talked about the 38. So I would wait for key levels, see if they hold, and then just start to scalp through. Because again, the moves are so dramatic that if you're trading this thing with even 100 shares, you can get a $1 move in like 30 seconds. So definitely, worth, I would say, lower your share size and start to scalp this. For me, that's what makes the most sense when I'm looking at a stock like this. And again, 278 million shares. We did hundreds of million, greater than 500 million now for a couple days in a row. Definitely worth scalping. And look at this. See this volume pick up here at 1116 today? Look where that came. Right on these bottoms, right? 38. So you're seeing it kind of go a little bit less volume until we get to key areas. So that's another one, have a look, and look what happened right there again. It faded off that 48. So there we go. So 48 to 38, there's some key levels there. For me, that's the best way to trade it as we look forward on AMC.
So when it comes to understanding risk, guys, let's take a second here and, take a thought as far as volatility is concerned. I mean, the stock was, 20s, teens, going back a week or so ago. The difference in volatility when you get into these kind of prices is worth noting. You cannot take the same sort of swings as you were possibly back when it was trading 15 to 20 or 20 to 30 that it is when it's, when it's $60.
Yeah, that's 100% true, because when it's up here, and we've been saying this on our live show, the halt sometimes can be a little bit of your friend, and that doesn't always make sense. But trust me, when you look at the price action, that's going to be true. Two things have been happening in the last couple of days, and one is not necessarily this morning. When you get these potential volatility halts, I mean, here you're dropping from 62 into 50, you get that 10% move or past that in too fast of a time, circuit breakers will hit. In the past, it was buying off of those levels, and that's what happened here at 9:30. It resisted a downside halt and broke up. When that low of the day got taken out, you then had the first downside halt trade. Now, you look for those reopens. A lot of times it can be successive down halts. We saw this with GameStop before. The first one that makes a turn where you get an up halt after a successive down halt is usually a pretty solid entry area there. You have a defined, you can get into that trade. You kind of have an idea that it's going to be some price discovery that's going to make more sense in there. So it might give you an avenue to take a few more shares. You have to watch out for stop hunting. The higher the price gets up, when you have these levels, like Sean, brilliantly mentioned that 48 that just came in here. If you were, say, shorting off this level or holding a long into it, I mean, don't put your order at 47.99. Don't put your stop order necessarily at 48.01 if you want to give it into VWAP. You have to consider that stops will get hunted. It might break that 48, go a few cents, and if it's real resistance, you have to give it some room. That was the case up at that 62 this morning, where it would go to 62.30. It couldn't break past 50, so watch out for those triggers. When the stock's moving $10 at a time and those winners are there for you, 15 cents extra, 50 cents extra isn't that big of a deal so long as your share size is right.
We'll wrap it up at that, guys. An interesting time to be watching and trading and being active in AMC, to say the least. Make sure you understand your risk tolerance and understand the structure of the trade you are in. And come back and join us tomorrow, because I'm sure it'll be fun then too. Let's go to Valeria.
Hey guys, thank you for this helpful information. Dear viewers, please subscribe to this channel to see more great videos.